It's time to speak up. Hello, everyone. My name is Vernisa,
Hey y'all, this is Jen.
and this is our podcast. Speak up. Woo, what's up, Jen?
Hey girl.
How are you?
I'm good. Another week down. How are you?
You're bad for where did September go?
Why is that true though? I was like, wow, tomorrow's really the last day, huh?
Yeah. Oh, dang. I didn't think that far, but okay. Well, hey, it's over. For those of you that don't know, me and Jen are best friends. We create this podcast to use our voices to motivate people to overcome life challenges through self love and respect.
That's right, y'all. The good thing is that no matter what day of the year it is, how far things are, or wherever, uh, those are two core values we hold near and dear to our hearts.
Yes, most definitely. Before we get started, quick shout out to our amazing sponsors. Shout out to My Bar, located at 720 East Manchester, Inglewood, California. Get your nails, your lashes, your hair done, your tooth gems. Shoot, they do it all. Ask for my. Tell them that Speak Up JV sent you. The Instagram is at myy.bar.
And shout out to our other sponsor, Be Actual Natural. Why settle for less? All their products are created with you in mind for a goal to let your self love show through your self care. Their chemical free hair and skincare products are handmade, plant based, and free of fillers or preservatives. Treat yourself while you're taking care of yourself. Start your journey at www.beactualnatural.com or check them out on Instagram at BeActualNatural.
Yes, most definitely, y'all. And she just released a book. It is great, by the way. So make sure y'all tap in with that. Link is in her bio for that as well. So, I'm excited for tonight's episode because I feel like it's a much needed topic that needs to be talked about more. And, shoot, the end of the year is coming up. So I think we need to bring it up. Jen, what's our title, though?
Our title for tonight is called Run It Back.
Run it back, run it back. I love that title. I don't know why. I think it's one of my favorite titles. I don't know why. Like when that
For some
song
reason,
back.
I was
Oh, good.
Yeah, I was thinking "Run It" by Chris Brown, but yeah, I guess we're going on the
Oh, that's
same.
a good one. I'm thinking about when that song good, you like run it back, like start one more time. Chris Brown, I'm thinking of Chris Brown doing that run, his little leg cross
Oh,
move
yeah.
when he did.
I see you
Ah,
run.
memories. That's because me and Jim reflecting on our birthdays that are around the corner, so I think it hit us for a minute. But yes, the reason why we called it Run It Back because we were talking about not being afraid to start over. The end of the year is coming up, and I'm pretty sure you guys have some goals that you probably took a break on, stopped, got side, came across some challenges, or you're revamping yourself right now. Maybe you're taking a new direction, and you know what? It might be time to start over. And you know what? There's a society. Society tells us. We turn this music down. Sorry, society be telling us that it's a bad thing to start over.
Hmm.
And honestly, we're gonna help y'all shift y'all perspective of that tonight.
Yeah, I love that we're talking about this actually because there is like some sort of stigma about having to start over or feeling like starting from nothing, right? I feel like that's kind of the stigma around it. But in reality, we want to emphasize that it's not even starting from zero, it's starting over from that experience, right? The good thing about having something that didn't work out is when you start over again, you know what doesn't work or and you also know what was working in the process, so you're able to make that your starting point. Like it's not like you're going in blind all over again, so you can apply that to pretty much anything in life, and that's what I love about this topic.
I love that you say you're not going in blind anymore because that's when we start something for the first time. That's what it is, and you weren't afraid that first time when you started it. So why now? So our
That's
acts
right.
of question for real, our acts of question of the day is: are you afraid to start over? So we posted this on our social media platforms, and most people said no. I look, y'all, again. I love that y'all be listening to speaker.
I love that actually. I was kind of expecting a different answer, but I think too though a lot of the I want to say societal climate has changed in regards to starting over because a lot of us probably did have to start over, especially with like everything that has been going on with the past couple of years. I feel like a lot of us were in this transitional phase, so maybe that's why that answer happens because it's like we're kind of forced to in a lot of ways, whether we wanted to or not.
I like that answer, and I would have to answer no to it too. I feel like I'm big on starting over. I'm like I have perfectionist ways sometimes. So when something ain't right, I'm like, no, run it back. We're gonna do that again. For y'all that done play me in anything and beat me, I'm like, oh, we doing that again. I'm gonna really get your ass this time. So yeah, so I feel like I'm not afraid of it, and I like that, like just doing better. I'm big on what's the word, constructive criticism. How can
Hmm.
I improve, and knowing like, okay, I did better this time. Let me keep progressing until I get better and better. So yeah, I think that's good. So what does starting over mean? But what would you say?
Starting over. Um, I mean, it's kind of like what I was touching up on earlier, right? With at least you know what wasn't working. Like you tried a certain path for anything in life, and then in trying that path, you realize that, oh, this wasn't the right route to take, or maybe like I took the right 5 steps, but then step number 6 wasn't right. So let me at least start from that point again. So starting over, it's like it's not just a blank starting point. It's like you start with that experience, and then I want to touch up on too how you said you weren't afraid to start the first time, right? So let's say you were afraid to start the first time. Starting over includes not being as afraid, or maybe just not being afraid overall.
Oh, not being afraid overall. I like that because I feel like the scary part's already done when you do that first thing. You know,
Hmm.
I feel like revamping yourself is bomb because it's like it's showing you evolving. You know, at the
Hmm.
end of the day, and I think too, with starting over, it doesn't mean those other times don't matter. I think there's so much importance in those times you tried, you dust yourself off and tried again. Whereas earlier, right? You know, there's meaning in that, and it's power in that. Like, you know, you are wiser, you are a better person. You know what I mean? Going into it, so I think that. And let's talk about these last 3 months of the year, what two, whatever we had. I don't even know at this point this year. You know, I know some times are finna happen, as far as like holidays or, people, grieving, and it's a lot going on. Transitions, the weather's gonna be changing and stuff. And me and Jen wanted to like really emphasize too, like, don't let that shift your focus. Use it as a time as a reason to refocus. Like, okay, this is coming. Prepare yourself for what's coming. I'm not saying don't indulge in the holidays and whatever, with your family and friends, but also be aware of what it causes too. You know what I mean? If you have a certain goal you're trying to reach by a certain amount of time.
Oh, definitely. I know a lot of us like to wait, till the end of the year or something, but I think any day is a good starting day, right? Like I've talked about this before where when I first officially started like my fitness journey a few years back, I started on a random day in July in the summer. Like, it's just
Hey.
there is no right time or even wrong time to start over, especially if you've kind of been forced to start over, or like you're at a phase in your life where you didn't think you would be at this point, whether good or bad. I think it's that time to reevaluate and take it. So even if it's on a random, I don't know, October the 7th or something, and that's the day that you want to start, I think that's cool. Like why, on whose rules do we have to wait till a certain specific date to start on something?
I love that. And, going off what we were saying too, like, life sometimes will force you, right, to make adjustments to those plans. And I think the beauty of starting over is, okay, you're giving yourself that time to acknowledge what happened. Let's say it's something drastic happened, a big transition that you had no control over. That gives you time to pivot and adjust and come back stronger. And it's like, okay, I got through that. Now it's go time. Because I'm gonna be real, sometimes I need fire in my ass. Like, there's times I'm like, I'm super focused, but then I gotta kind of fall off a little bit. And then I'm like, okay, no, I gotta get this right. Because let's be real, that's the pressure you be needing sometimes when we get complacent and we're like, okay, I got this routine down. But sometimes that boom will get you right.
Oh yeah, for sure. I love that you brought that up though, because even as we're talking about starting over, right? It also alleviates that pressure of feeling like, damn, why I gotta start all over again? Like, I think that word again freaks us out. At least for me it does. Like when I start on
Mhm.
something, I like to most of the time see it through. Like you said, obviously there's certain times where it's like we get unfocused for a little bit. But for the most part, I do. So when I have to think about starting over again, it's almost like me applying that internal pressure, like, oh dang, was it my fault? Or, could I have done this differently? And whichever answer I may come up with, it works in the sense of like, okay, giving myself that grace of at least I have the ability to start over on something, whether
Mhm.
it's a goal or just, it's a new mindset or something like that. And I think that's the beautiful part about life too, that as a part of our journey that we're growing and everything, there's going to be lots of twists and turns. There's going to be a lot of adjustments that we may have to make. And I think that has to be okay, because who in here has ever had a plan go perfectly to par, in anything in life? Most of the time it's going to be a no, so um, we have to be okay with normalizing that word again and just going after that. Like, even if we don't have it all figured out in between that time, then that has to be okay as well. Like, we don't have to have it all figured out at any point in our lives.
That is so true. And I love that you brought up the word again because we need to alleviate that fear of the word again because that's what's going to cause you to give up. Because you ever get frustrated on something and you're like, I got to start over, you just stop. You
Yeah.
just, and it's like, I think we can't cheat ourselves when it comes to something we really want, something we want badly. It's like, okay, you want it that bad, give it that then. You know, that sometimes relationships have to be deconstructed, you know, and start from scratch. Shoot, you know, I don't know. Hey, ladies, a dude ever try to get at you? He came out wrong, and then he's like, "Hold on, let me fix the. Let's start this over." You know, I don't know. Sometimes stuff is happens. Or you ever get into a bad fight with a friend, and you guys realize, okay, we were both wrong, but you know, we might have to like restart this and start fresh and work through this. So it applies to life too. It's not even just our goals. So shoot, business plans.
Yes.
How many billionaires had to start from scratch? You know, had you hear about this all the time? These successful people, they had an original plan of something else. They ended up doing something else because over
Mhm.
time, their passion molded into something else.
No, that's so true. I was actually gonna even bring that up too, where it's like how many of these greats, great household names, we've heard their stories where it's like, yeah, I was originally starting over here and I thought my company was gonna go this way, or I thought my career was gonna go this way, and then it turns out I'm a whole completely different person now, or I expanded on that idea, or I ended up finding something that was actually more useful to add to this idea. Like whatever it is, I just think it's really cool because it shows us too, for those of us who are striving for something different, like an entrepreneurial path or a business that we're investing in or something, that it's okay if you had a certain plan at first and you thought you were going to go in a certain direction, and then when you reevaluate you realize you're going somewhere else. Or even in your own life too, right? Sometimes our mindsets change as well. Like the more we're growing as a person, maybe different morals we accept or different perspectives we start adapting, and it's okay to do that. Like we're ever changing people, as long as we still continue to wake up and breathe and everything, we have that chance to change our minds.
I love, yeah, no, that's real. And then I want to say this too. Speaking of change, sometimes we get complacent in the comfort zone, right? You know, we get comfortable there, we're stuck, and we get used to that typical routine when it comes to building like a business, right? You got that same thing you do every day to build your business. And honestly, if that's not working, something's going to happen to where you're forced to kind of start over and revamp and rebrand. Like, you know, don't be afraid to change in that, you know, or shoot, this how happens in life. You might want to start wearing different types of outfits, wearing your hair different. I don't know, but it's something beautiful about that revamp, or like, you know, starting over with your, you know, with your hair. You might cut it off one day and just grow it back out. You know, whatever. You know, shoot,
Oh yeah,
same thing,
I'm big on that, starting over, chopping off the hair, changing the color and all that.
right? Like we gonna do like what gym we having today.
Hmm.
No, that's real. So it's true. And you know what? I like that Jim brought up like it doesn't have to happen at a certain timeline. Like you know, it could be October 7th or whatever it is. Because what are we all waiting for? Okay, New Year's comes. My birth or your birthday. You waiting for your birthday.
Right.
Okay. Like what makes that so it's not wrong with having a start, but you know, yeah. Like
Mhm.
why, like you said, you can start whenever with whatever it is you're trying to do.
And then I take it as two ways, right? One, not to be so morbid and like, doomsday, but how are you guaranteed that day's even going to come? So it's like if I'm putting it off till like 3 months from now to start or something, like I'm not guaranteed that I'm ever going to even make it there. And then two, I'm wasting a lot of time in getting from this point until my quote unquote starting day. Like if I really am waiting until New Year's or even like next, well, I mean, this doesn't count anymore because maybe after tomorrow is the next month. But like if I'm waiting for like a month from now to start over or something, I'm wasting a lot of time that I could just be spending in trying to start. And then when we say starting something new, it doesn't mean maybe necessarily you go full head on and like you're tackling everything. It's also those steps. Maybe it's about that mentality of like, all right, I'm going to get myself in there. Maybe it's writing a new plan. Maybe it's rethinking about your strategies. Like whatever it is, you have that choice and that power to actually start making it happen a lot sooner than just waiting for the perfect day. There is no perfect day. You know how that quote says, it's either one day or day one.
Oh, damn.
And that's
That was a plot twist. And I want to say too, y'all, like shooting me and Jen, we gonna hold ourselves accountable. You know, we did we had to revamp and like relist our goals for the rest of the year we want to accomplish. And instead of saying, oh, we're going to start this on this day, it was, what day we trying to have this done by? And
Mhm.
I think that's where you're able to hold yourself accountable more, because you're giving yourself that mental deadline, that which is meaning start now, to where by that date that's going to be done. And yes, of course, be reasonable with yourself. We're not saying make it the dead, you have to have it done by next week. Like if it's something you can do in next week, get it done. You know what I mean? But like I said, I like to hold myself accountable on this show. I'm not gonna say be like, yeah, y'all need. No, we really sat with ourselves and had that deep talk, like held ourselves accountable. And then sometimes you have to talk to yourself, like, okay, why aren't I where I want to be? What is hindering me from getting there? And it's like a lot of times it's the work we're not putting in that we need to be real with ourselves about. So no, that's true though.
Mhm. Yeah, definitely. I think we need to, I mean, there's a balance between it, right? But like how assess how strict are you really on yourself? Like I like to talk to myself the way maybe a boss would talk to me, like a respectful boss, of course, but like, give me deadlines or telling me that, hey, this wasn't working this way, let's try it a different type of way. Like in putting that kind of authoritative tone over myself, it makes things a lot maybe more disciplined in my head, I guess is the word. And it helps me push myself a little bit more. But obviously I can't do everything by myself. So that's why, I have you, I have my partner, I have my family to hold me accountable for certain things. So if you need your tribe to hold you accountable for certain things, do that as well. Like we are not, superheroes, so we can't do everything all on our own. So sometimes we do need that extra group as well.
No, we for sure do, like a voice in your ear or something. Um, that's real. So the song made me laugh. Or I love me some Ashanti.
Me
No,
too.
but keep that around, keep that around, and don't be afraid to tell those close friends, people you can trust, what you're working on, because those are the friends that are going to keep you accountable. I have a new friend. I actually work with her, and it's cool because she, like, we hold each other accountable with eating. Like she'll be like, "Oh, you sure you want that?" And it's like, think about when you're at work, you're there all day. So like that's where most of your eating happens and stuff. So it's like that's where your snacking happens, let's be honest. So it's just good to, when someone knows like a certain goal that you have in mind or something, it's like they gonna have your back and be like, hey, so, in a
That's
nice way. And
yeah.
I want to say too, starting over is better than staying in the bad habit. So yeah, if you do need to revamp, it's a reason you need to revamp. And if you continue on that same path you were on, you're just going to continue on those same habits that need to be worked on, because it's a reason you're not hitting that next level, whatever it is you're trying to do.
Absolutely true. Sorry, before I continue, shout out to Dre Day in the chat. He said, "My Cali girls, hey."
Woo, hey, oh, thank you for tuning in. Yeah, y'all, he tapping in from Brooklyn. That's love right there. Y'all check out sports Dre Day, man, for real.
Hey.
What's up?
But yeah, I want to elaborate a little bit on that point that you're making because it's true, right? What do they say? Doing the same thing over and over again, but expecting different results is madness.
Mm,
And I don't think there's anything more real than that because it's almost like saying you're sorry, right? You could say sorry for something 1,000 times, but if you're not putting in that change behavior, that effort to actually have a different mindset or even take accountability for why you keep making these mistakes or whatever it is that you have to be sorry for, then you're not getting anywhere. The words
mm,
just become meaningless at that point. So that
mm.
kind of applies to a lot of other things in your life as well, where it's like how you're talking about with the eating habits, right? Like if you keep eating those snacks, you keep buying those snacks in the first place, start thinking about that. Like, why do I continue resorting to these snacks? What other snacks can I get that will get me more of the results that I'm looking for and still satisfy me in my cravings?
Exactly. Like I feel like starting over helps you with your discipline, because okay, because who wants to start over and do the exact same thing and just fall into that same pit? So it's like, okay, you know what you need to do.
Mhm.
But you guys, it is time for our tweet up segment. So that's when, y'all know I like to be on Twitter. So something that I tweeted this week that goes with the episode is, sometimes starting over creates a better story. And it just goes off everything that we're saying. Why stay in those same bad habits? Why be around those same people who were the reason the other story was crashing? You know what I mean? All those things play a role. Like sometimes you have to start from scratch and just accept it. Like you might bake a better cake this time, whatever it is. You know what I mean? But it doesn't mean it's all doom and gloom. It actually might be a good thing, might be protection. You know that saying, when one door closes, another one opens? That's starting over. That door was shut for a reason, but that new door might be which the door you need to be walking through.
And I love that too because it makes you more relatable, more human too. Like, I love these people who, when they share their story, they share their setbacks as well. They share how many times they really did have to start over, or come up with a brand new plan and everything. Like, I think that just makes everything more realistic for us too. And especially when you have a dream towards something in your story, and you realize other people have hit the concrete, so to say, as well, then it kind of makes it a little bit better for you. And then for me personally, it gives me more of that motivation too, in knowing, hey, if they did this and strayed from the path how many times, I can even imagine what my path is going to look like in that case. And it gives me more grace in accepting that, okay, these twists and turns are part of that story, and it's just a better story waiting to be written.
Yeah, like I love that post that says what people think success is and what it really is, and shows like the turns, the everywhere. And that's really what it is. I feel like if you ain't having no twists and turns, what growth is happening?
Mm,
What level up is really happening? Because more, it's more level. The level up, it's more than just that amount of money you're making, that new business you open. The level up is what happens with you as well internally. The lessons that you learn, the person you become. When you clear out the clouds and you allow yourself to grow in it, or the going being resilient through the obstacles. That's the level up right there. The wisdom that comes when you're on top of that and you're making that money and can speak on it
I
more.
agree 100%, especially when you want something so badly. Like, how are you going to learn to appreciate it if you didn't go through a few hurdles along the way? Like, I think that's major. Even think about it like on your fitness journey, right? Some days you may feel like working out, you may be super pumped and motivated, other days you may not. But you can't just stop because you didn't work out for a day or so and then be like, oh, well, I fell off the wagon again, and then just quit. Like, you have to just continue going. But think about what kind of growth that takes for you to even tell yourself you're going to start over again. And then what's really going to happen to you internally? Like, yeah, the physical results are beautiful and everything, but it's you knowing how much hard work you put into it, how much self-talk you really had to say, I'm going to do this today and I'm going to do it better, and then just continue going. Like, that takes a lot of effort. That is not easy to do.
Especially when you were in a healing space, and I say this because y'all ever started something new or did something, and whatever, let's say a trigger appeared or something and it just took you back down, but you now could see, okay, this is still something I need to work on, because that's that growth happening for you to even do what you need to do to get to that next level you're trying to get to, so I learned how to take those moments where you're like, damn, okay, this affected me, this is why I stopped. But like just said, understanding why you stopped or what's causing you to retreat back to old habits.
Absolutely. And then we have to be real with ourselves too, right? That sometimes starting over really does mean letting go of certain people too.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, I know sometimes we grew up with a certain person, or, we've been with them for a while, or we know them for this reason and this amount of years and whatever. But because we're all on such different paths, we're all different characters, we all got our own stories. It means, yeah, some characters are just not going to make it to that final chapter, and that's okay, right? Maybe we needed them in chapter 17 of our lives because we had to grow at that point, into a certain person. But then at chapter 21 or something, we're no longer in contact with them for whatever reason, but it doesn't make the story any less real. And then it doesn't mean to have bad blood with that person. It just means y'all are in different paths, and that has to be okay.
Yeah, I love that. And I seen a tweet that said, I forgot what it said, but it was saying, I can't forget the exact words, but y'all just bear with me. It says something like, on your journey, you're going to meet two different types of people. Some people are there to hurt you so you can heal. And then some are supposed to just be there for the journey through, be that joy in your life. And it's beautiful because I think we have to distinguish the two. Like, who is that person? What people were those lessons that hurt us, whatever. And what people are just beautiful beings in our lives that are just meant to be there for that, that are meant to help you grow and be there with you, so it's true. And I think I'm gonna be real with you, being afraid to let go of characters in your story, I think that's one of the big things that holds us back from our growth. Because in the day, if you're holding on to these certain people, if they're not meant to be in that chapter, that new chapter is not going to start if those people are still lingering around in it, or pulling you down or distracting you from it. So I'm glad you brought that point. That's a good one.
Oh, definitely. I was bringing this up the other day, even with my partner, about like cutting split ends from the hair. I know it sounds so silly, but y'all be patient with me on this when I talk about it. In saying that, like, on this journey to growing your hair long, or even just growing it healthier for however length you want, if you have really dead split ends make it eventually end up making it all the way up to your scalp. So if you don't cut that off right where it's dead, at that moment, then it will continue to get there, and then that hair follicle will no longer continue to produce hair in that particular area. And then or you'll see that the rest of your hair just becomes more frizzy and more damaged, especially for those of us who do have longer hair. So it's kind of like the same thing with what you were saying with people. If you're not cutting off that split end, you're not going to get that healthy hair growth. You're not going to get to see that shine that you want to see in your hair. So it's the same thing with people, that maybe this person isn't a good person for us, and we're not seeing it until we're not able to see it until we finally let go of them in our stories.
That's so true. And you'll see the road more clear, because I feel like it's like that cloud that's in front of you. And speaking of hair, I just want to throw this in there too. I've been taking my hair journey a lot more serious now, and I'm proud of it actually. But I learned patience, through it, because we be the one that shit to just change overnight. It doesn't happen that way. But when you really just take the time, I'm gonna be real. Like, there's nights I don't feel like twisting my hair up, right? And when I do it, I'm like, no, my hair needs nurture. It needs to be rubbed. It needs to be hydrated. It needs to be moisturized. Like, that's me taking the time to comb it out, do what I need to do instead of being lazy. I'm gonna just throw it up and go to sleep. No, braid that hair up. Do what you need to do. Wash it. Massage your scalp. You know what I mean? Nurture it. So it goes with all this, like starting over and stuff. It's going to take that patience. But you guys, we're about to take a quick 3-minute commercial break. So please get your water ready. Please get your water ready. We're about to have the water segment soon, and we will see y'all in 3 minutes. Stay tuned. And we will see y'all in 3 minutes. Stay tuned.
Girl, what you doing on Tuesday?
Girl, I'm gonna be listening to Never Not Extra.
Oh, word? What time they come on?
Girl, they come on at 8:30, but only on Pacific Standard Time. So 8:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time.
Okay, how do I listen though?
Only on the Good News Radio app, girl.
The Good News Radio app? Okay, I'm about to download that right now.
Go ahead and download that shit, girl, and get in the comments, girl.
Oh, I'm gonna be up in there.
Because Kirsten be crazy.
And Moni be spilling that tea.
Ooh, all right, see you on Tuesday, girl.
Yo, this is Jason Lee from Hollywood Unlocked, and even though they extra as hell, check out Never Not Extra on TGN Network.
That's right.
Y'all gotta have notes, cue cards, teleprompter.
Sundays just got sweeter. The Hub Radio presents First Sundays Open Mic, hosted by Hub City Dre, DJ Gamma Ray, and the First Sundays Band. They're inviting all singers, rappers, comedians, and poets to show up and show out. Sign-ups begin at 6 p.m. Sundays Open Mic will take place every first Sunday of the month. It's just $10 before 8 p.m. and $20 after, so arrive early. The address is 1135 East Compton Boulevard. That's 1135 East Compton Boulevard in Compton, California. For more information, follow them on IG at First Sundays Open Mic.
What's up? It's Brandon from the Primo Chiles radio show. Are you tired of filthy, lowbrow, scummy entertainment? Well, I don't have the solution for you. Check out the Primo Chiles radio show, live Thursdays at 12 on TGN Latinx.
It's back, Jax. Have you heard? It's back.
Michael, what are you talking about? What's back?
The Podcast Pit. It is returning Monday, May 23rd. Brand new venue.
Oh my God, the Podcast Pit is back. Exciting. Where's it at?
It's going to be at Joxer's Daily at 7:30 p.m.
I know where that's at. That's at 11168 Washington Boulevard in Culver City.
So, Jax, will I see you there?
Oh, you know it, baby.
Hey, my name is Jasmine Sweets, and I'm so excited to be bringing you The Sweet Spot on TGN Vibes, Good Vibes, and R&B. Playing the old school, new school, and in between. I'm coming to you this summer. Stay tuned.
Hey there, business owners. Don't miss our limited time offer. Advertise on the Good News Radio as low as $2 per commercial slot. That's right. Promote your business up to 4 times a day, every day for a month on live radio. If you're interested, email us at contact@tgnradio.net. Once again, that's contact@tgnradio.net.
Hey, Shariq LeMay.
Hey, what up, Jay Pinkay?
You already know what it is. You pulling up with me on Thursdays?
Oh, you already know Thursdays is lit.
What we doing?
We live on live.
Hello. All right, y'all. We are back. Sorry, excuse my laughing. We are back, and tonight's episode is titled "Run It Back." So we talking about sorry, not being afraid to start over. So I know, look, the end of the year is approaching, and don't be afraid to start over if you need to. If you need to make a few adjustments to your plan.
That's right. It always may, yeah, it may always require for you to start over on a certain plan. I guarantee that no one has ever had their plan be executed 100,000%.
Please let me know who did that. Shoot. Now it is time for our life up segment. So this is when we take the episode and relate it to today's world. So, Jen, what's our life up for tonight?
So tonight's life up is people thinking that if they have to start over, they should just give up instead. I think this is a really big thing that we see. I'm so sorry, y'all. My cat is playing in the background. But I think this is a big thing that we see, especially on the internet. We see people's finished products, right? So we assume or we never get to see like what hurdles they had to go through or anything like that. So we just maybe thinking, oh, they're lucky they were able to do it on the first try. So it makes us feel unworthy to even have to try all over again. Like it makes us question ourselves. That's where that self-doubt starts to come in. It's like a whole cycle. But yeah, that's what our life up segment's about tonight.
And I think with social media too, it's made people like really think like or romanticize quitting more. Because think about it, if you have a business, right, and you were going hard, then you stopped because of something. Some people be scared to really come back instead of like, I see that as strength. Like if you can stop because something happened, but you get back up and you revamp versus like, okay, I'm embarrassed to show that I'm doing it again because I went this long without doing it.
Yeah, definitely. I think we need to have that good relationship with failure. Like I think too, even seeing that just because we're pausing doesn't mean we're failing, right? Just like how they say you only fail if you stop. So in having that relationship with failure, it's knowing too that even that pause doesn't mean that I'm necessarily doing something bad. It just means I'm learning from something. Maybe I needed to hit the concrete a few times for me to really start learning and seeing what's going on.
Exactly, because it's like, okay, well, yeah, what do I need to fix so this can happen better? Some people real wise to some people that me and Jen have like definitely learned a lot of wisdom from. They talked about that, like the most successful people have failed the most times, and it's like because that first no, what you gonna do? Just stop. It's like if you want to be a model, okay, you put your first picture out, and then if someone says no, this ain't it, what you gonna just stop modeling because that one person that's considered failure. That first no. But look what the most successful models do. Like, look at Tara Banks. She says it all the time, all the stuff she went through. But look who she is today. But, it took all those failures, having to change your image, everything, work on it to get there.
Mm-hmm. No,
so let's talk about oh, sorry, I cut you off. Go ahead.
I was just saying, no, that's very true.
Yeah, so Jill was saying something about a participation trophy. I want to hear about it. Go ahead.
Yeah, so some of y'all might not agree with me on this, and that's okay, differences of opinions, right? But this is just something that I've been noticing that we call it like the participation trophy generation or something. And basically it's like everybody gets a trophy for just trying. Like, oh, you participated in the science fair, you get a trophy. You participate in the spelling bee, you get a trophy. And that doesn't always necessarily work. Like it started actually working against us in the sense where when we start actually failing at something and don't get that trophy, then we start thinking like someone owes us something. Like, hey, well, what happened to my trophy? I started participating in this, even though I didn't finish, like I deserve something. And it's dangerous to think about life that way too. Like even in any plans that we may have, any relationships we may have as well, because then we'll start thinking that something or someone always owes us something. And that's not the case. Like, we've always heard this, right? Life isn't fair. So when you start something, you are never 100% guaranteed that you're going to get to that goal the way that you want to get it. And obviously even the certain goal that you may have in the beginning may not even be the goal for you. It may have to change throughout time. But if we're over here not even bothering to try because we're not getting quote unquote trophies or acknowledged along the way, then how are we ever even going to know?
That's so true, because it takes away from the work that people do put in who do complete whatever it is. You know what I mean? And I think it makes us like not want to go after something. It's like, oh, well, I get this. Hey. So, no, I'm glad. Okay, so thank you for breaking that down. I'm like, ooh, the trophy award. Let's talk about that. I want to know a little bit more. And also, too, the other thing we're gonna talk about too is people starting over with the same habits, not taking what they learned with them. So I don't care what you went through. Don't bring that old character back in. Don't do that same routine. That routine wasn't working for a reason.
And
It's a lot. Go ahead.
I was gonna say that if we find that we continue to do something, or even if we tweaked it in a different way, even us, like a certain mindset, we tweaked it a different way, but we find that we're still not getting the results we want, or we're getting the same results as before, and it's just not working, it's time for that accountability to come in. Like, okay, how much did I really learn from last time? How much am I really changing from last time, even in my plan, in my mindset, in my habits, everything? And that takes a lot of guts to really tell yourself you are the one in your own way. Because a lot of us don't really recognize that. It's easy to say somebody else, like, oh yeah, they're self-sabotaging, blah blah blah, but it's like, when do we take that accountability for ourselves, that we might be the ones in our own way, we might be the ones not really learning the lesson, so that's why we keep getting those same exact results. So that's when we have to start really changing those habits and realize, hey, I need to get out of my own way.
Out of my own way. I love that. And don't put yourself down for starting over, and don't let nobody make you feel some type of way from starting over. They don't know your story and why you had to revamp. I think we have to let go of seeking that validation of, oh, what people gonna think if I like start over again, or you start over, like, let's say you started something with somebody and that person ain't with you anymore. Don't Okay, that they don't know what you went through. You know what I mean? To start over in the first place. So all those things go together. How do we fix this? I would say, I think the biggest thing, yeah, not caring about other people's opinions with this. Pay attention to your journey and letting go. Letting go of the things that are holding you back, what this person said, how you felt, how you were hard on yourself, all those.
And I think too, like, always going to be big on this. Take either social media breaks or technology breaks, whatever you need to, if you find yourself constantly comparing your life to other people's lives. Like, some people, yes, they do get lucky, they do become an overnight sensation, but that is the exception. It's not the rule.
Woo.
So we start expecting things like that to happen to us, then we get disappointed when they don't. So if you find that, you getting online is actually making you a little bit more depressed, or you're finding that you're comparing yourself too much, it's okay to take that break and really go back to living your own life and start writing your own story. Why would you want to live somebody else's story that was already written anyway?
Oh, that's real. Look, she was speaking, dropping gems right there. But y'all know what time it is. It is time for our drink up water segment. So if you're listening now, please grab some water, drink some water. Just gonna have a water fact for tonight.
That's right, y'all. Let me take my little sip first because I'm a little thirsty.
Yeah, I'm thirsty too. Sheesh. Thursday. Oh, it's Thursday. That's the best one.
That's right, and it's a little hot still. Okay, y'all. So the water fact for tonight is water helps to keep your joints lubricated and flexible. The synovial fluid that directly lubricates your joints is made up primarily of water. This fluid reduces the friction between joints and helps to maintain healthy tissue and joints. So if you ever feel that maybe you're struggling a little bit with your knees or your elbows, them shoulders, wherever that we got joints going, and you're not drinking enough water, that may be the reason, right? Obviously, there may be other underlying conditions that go get a health professional. But I think if we know we're not drinking enough water and our joints are not as lubricated as they should be, there's that accountability. Start over with your water intake.
So true. Like, you ever drink a sip of water and automatically feel better? Like, everything is just right. So make sure you drink some water, y'all, because get them joints right so you can run it back. Like I did that, huh? But that was our water fact, and y'all better have drink some water, or else we're gonna get you. Now back to our episode. So the next topic is, there are lessons that we have to learn before starting over. So I want to say this too: don't impulsively start over. So let's say there is something you're trying to accomplish, or anything. It could be a fitness journey. It could be, you might want to start over with a person, with something like heal a relationship, work on something. Are you ready to? Ask yourself that. Are you equipped? Did you do the healing you needed to do, or to approach that person correctly, to really apologize, take accountability to change those ways? As far as your goals, have you been preparing? Like, are you ready now, equipped to go hardcore? Have you worked on your discipline? These are things that you have to ask yourself before even starting over in the first place. Because guess what? You're going to be in the same. You ever see toxic relationships? The same thing. They break up, they get back together, break up, get back together, break up because nothing is being fixed. We're just starting to get over off of impulse, right? And the same with our goals. Nothing was learned. There was no preparation done. So it's just going to be the same result at the end of the day.
Exactly. I love that you put it in that way because it's easy to say, "Oh yeah, I'm just going to start over," or forget what happened. Let's just do this all over again. But it really takes, again, like we've been saying, that mindset, that change, that growth for you to really start over in anything in life, even starting over in your marathon training, right? Like you might have to realize, you have limits during the days, or on certain days you can run less, certain days you can run more. Maybe you need to really start over even with your eating habits because you realize it's your eating that's contributing to your energy, your stamina, and everything else. So really taking a look back. And then with relationships, it's the same exact thing. Like what's causing that toxicity? If you do want to continue with this person, you feel like things can get fixed and they can get healthy, then what is the root of the problem to begin with? And the thing with that, obviously, is it takes both people, right? Or however many parties are involved. It takes multiple mindsets. So sometimes it may not be enough for just you to be the one to decide, I do want to start over and do these things. But when it is on a journey that you're trying to do on yourself, it does get a little bit easier in doing that. But it also is part of that accountability and making sure that your whole mindset is just different.
Oh, I love that you said mindset because yeah, that renewal definitely has to take place, especially if you want something bad. I feel like I'm gonna be honest too, y'all. Starting over doesn't mean the BS disappears. So if it's your goals, right? Whatever problem you were having that made you give up because you were distracted, whatever it was, if you not worked on that, it doesn't just magically go away because you woke up one day, oh, I'm gonna start over. Same with relationships. So if you had a reason the person left you, whatever, I don't know. I'm just talking, if you didn't work on it, like it doesn't magically go away because you're like, oh, I'm gonna start over. Like those same problems are going to be there, So I love that you said it's up to both parties, even or business partners. Let's say you and a business partner or something, both of y'all to do that, whatever the adjustments are. Adjustments is our word tonight.
Absolutely. And for those of us who have some control issues and maybe just want to feel like, well, starting over makes me feel like I don't know what's going to happen, realize how much control you actually do get to keep in starting over because you get to make that decision. You get to decide when, how much, like you get to decide all of that. So it's actually a perfect way to maintain that control. Yes, we may not know the ending, but when you were doing your journey before starting over, you didn't know how things were going to end then either. So, what's the difference?
Excuse me, I love that you brought that up because me and Jenna are alike because we like to we like to plan out every scenario you could think of. And I say every, I mean every. Like we having it ready, and it's like, hey, that start over. It's like, okay, I could pick who's in this too, and what, and when. Hey, so we had to throw that in there for y'all. It's true. It is time for our quote of segment. Y'all know my bestie's a quotey, so she has a quote for tonight.
Yes, I would say this has officially become one of my favorite quotes. I feel like I say that all the time, but this one
every week gets better. Look.
That's right. So tonight's quote is, starting over is not a sign of failure, but a mark of courage, a willingness to give yourself and your life another chance, by Scott Stabile.
Oh,
I like this quote. Yeah, I like this because it emphasizes on the word courage. It kind of goes back to what we were talking about with the having a better relationship with failure, where it takes courage to even admit that something didn't work out, courage to make that decision to start over, and then courage to not even know who you are anymore at that point or what plan you're going to make, but you just know you got to start fresh all over again, whether in a relationship or in personal goals, whatever it is, just allowing yourself that bravery in performing the act of starting all over. So also the willingness to give yourself and your life another chance. Like I think that's just awesome because a lot of us don't realize how much willpower we actually have. We make decisions every single day, right? So if we make that decision to start all over, that's actually you giving yourself that other chance. And come on, let's be real, who doesn't want that sometimes?
And it goes with worthiness. Like, let's be real. Let's say someone betrayed you or something. I don't know. They ask for forgiveness, right? You think if they're worthy enough for you to have you back in their life, right? It's the same with yourself, like with your goals and stuff. Do you feel worthy enough to give yourself another chance to go after whatever it is that you want against? I love that word willingness, and I love to bring this up because this always makes a tear come out my eye. Y'all know that scene on Mulan. Y'all know when she was climbing that wood thing, and then she just pulled her man, that thing slid down, and she pulled herself back up. I don't care. That's the part for me, because it's like she was like, "I'm gonna climb this pole." She did it, and she didn't give up, and she started over and pulled herself up again. I don't care. That's strong to me.
I agree. Y'all, I mean, I know we could say what we want about Disney and, the things we found out, but some of the lessons that were in those movies, we gotta take it to heart.
Yeah, I'm big on the lessons part.
Mm-hmm.
And also too, sometimes we need to come back stronger. I'm big on I'll say this. I acknowledge when I'm not feeling my best, when I do need to nurture myself or like just take a break or really just energize myself. And that time before starting over, it might be a time for that. Just kind of taking it easy, getting your mind right so you can just be refreshed for what you're trying to do.
Yeah, absolutely true. Again, it goes back to that courage and that willingness. Like, you don't realize, there's a quote, and don't quote me directly on it, but it says something like, you don't realize how much strength you have until that's all you have left to use. And it's very true, because if you've ever hit like a super low point in your life, or like this is the worst you've ever felt about yourself or your journey or whichever, then you know how much strength it takes to pick yourself up off of that. But then in another quote, it also says that using that rock bottom as your foundation, right? You and I were talking about that the other day too, where I love that too, because now you have something to go off of. Now you have something to stand above and really look back to and be like, dang, if it weren't for this part, I probably wouldn't know how strong I am. So it works out.
Yeah, and I think the best part is that looking back. Like, come on, we all been through some challenges. Look back at yourself right now, 10 years ago, something years ago, where you thought that was the end all, you were going to get through, how the F you was going to get through, but you got through it, And I think we had to keep giving ourselves that credit at least. Like, that's the trophy. I survived it. I got through it. Like, that's not what's the other one? That's not a participation trophy right there. Right. That's the real, I went through this and I got through it, okay? Like, yeah. Get at you. Starting over too is that question of, do you really want it? Like, if something happened, like we and Jay were talking about this, we were coming up with the episode because we like to eat. Talk about food, right? You ever go somewhere, they got your order wrong and you kind of drove off already, but you was craving it a certain way. I'm sorry, I want that bad. I'm about to, you turn around and go back, right? So we do that with that food, with that meal. What about when it comes to other things like your goals or something else important?
No, that's very true. It also makes me think about, like, let's say you're redecorating your house, right, or something, and you have a certain vision for your house, like a specific room in there. And when you start finally executing it out, you see the designs and everything, you're like, it's not quite what I wanted. How bad do you really want that room, that dream room, that dream house, whatever it is? And I think it's okay to re-look at that situation as well. So when you're starting over or thinking of starting over on something, you're going to have to reevaluate a lot of things, like, is it cost effective, is it worth the time as well that it's going to take, the energy, all of that. And if it still is, if your answers are still yes, then I don't see a problem in doing it. Of course, we're talking about healthy plans, healthy habits here and everything, but I just think that we need to really not be afraid of saying I really want something and then actually making it happen.
I like that. And I think too, ask yourself, can you live, are you okay with, like, will you regret not ever going back after it? Like, if that goal never got accomplished, are you okay with that? Because if you did quit something, are you okay with that end result? And I think that's a question you have to ask yourself, at the end of the day. And then if the answer is yes, the answer is no, then act accordingly on that. Starting over also allows you to clean house. So it's like, sometimes you got to put some stuff in order. Like, I'm gonna get this right. It's a transition, and then transition. I don't know. I feel like failure and transition go hand in hand. I think we should not. I feel like I like to look at failure transition. Okay, this happened, but I'm just adjusting again. That readjustment.
Exactly. I like that because it allows for like the darker periods of your life to be okay. This is just temporary. You know how we tell ourselves this too shall pass. Like we hear
Woo!
that. So I like that starting over phase in thinking of it like that too, because sometimes we don't realize we're starting over on something until we're ending something else, right? And maybe in that ending of something else, we're like hitting our low point. Maybe we broke up with somebody, got divorced, or moved to a whole new state, started on something new. We dropped out of school because we want to follow a business venture. Whatever our reasoning may be, we may not even realize we already are starting over. So telling yourself this is only temporary, that the hard part is just way to my destination, that it doesn't mean it's going to feel like this forever.
Yeah, because sometimes that starting over is out of our control. And you're right. If you get stuck on, oh, this ended, you're never going to move through. But when you say transition, I think of movement. Transition means, okay, I'm just passing through this. But when you're stuck right here in the past, you're not, that car is not moving. It's stuck in that tunnel. Me and my damn, whatever imageries. But you stuck there, just sit there. You know what I mean? So that's literally what's happening. And at least you're going back in with more knowledge than you had before. And I think that's not something you should take for granted.
Yeah, definitely. We need to start looking at it that way too. Like, this is why it's big to check in with yourself and really self reflect and ask yourself, what did I learn from this? And then how am I going to be better? How am I going to move forward? Because then we're able to really know what we've learned and then how we can use that knowledge, because you know how they say knowledge is power. I think that applies too when you're starting over in something. You found something that did not work, and I think that is the most beautiful thing ever, because now you know what you don't need to do. Even if you felt like it was a waste of time or something, was it really? Because what's more of a waste of time, not starting something or having to start over on something because the first time didn't work?
Woo! Okay, y'all. So what? Please ask yourself that question, and then go from there. And I want to say too, through the transition, it's like I did that when I did this episode. I think it was a solo episode. I talked about patience, and I remember whatever I was talking about, how with that self reflection, and that patience, what are you doing in that? So that transition, take that time to do what Ginger said, to check in with yourself and do all that, because otherwise, just a waste of time. And also use that struggle as motivation. The fact you're not where you want to be at in life, that is the reason right there to push yourself and keep going, and change your perspective on rock bottom. Okay, a lot's happening at the bottom. Make something happen so you make it ladders you could climb up.
That's right. And then you already know what they say, that once you hit low, there's nowhere else to go but up. So use that as your, like we were saying before, as your foundation to finally move up towards what you're actually looking for. And we need to start seeing that starting over is not a sign of weakness, but rather of strength. I think that is something that we can really fully embrace from this episode. Like, if you didn't learn anything else from this, just know that it takes guts. It takes a lot of strength for you to say, I want to start over on something because I want to be better. I want to be healthier, whatever your reasons are. But knowing that, dang, that takes a lot of effort for me to actually do.
I love that. And remember, y'all, every day you have a fresh breath. Hey, that is another opportunity in itself. You have it. You have opportunity right there, chances and stuff. So it's a good thing. And honestly, it's time for our wrap up segment. So how does this relate to self-love? Self-love is loving yourself enough to start over. We got to start over sometimes on loving ourselves. Let's be real. How much damage have we caused within ourselves, and we had to start over and just revamp us, right? So that is self-love.
Yeah, definitely. Letting yourself know that you've learned a lot, so don't let that wisdom go to waste. What lessons did you learn along the way? And even, if you have to recreate your identity, your relationship with yourself in the process, that's wisdom too, because now you're learning what it actually is going to take for you to love yourself enough to know that you're worthy of accomplishing that goal.
Oh, yes, that's so true. And let these mistakes teach you. Learn from them. Like, the mistakes ain't gotta go to waste. Like, oh, learn from that. Let that caterpillar become that butterfly. That's what I'm trying to say. Jen already talked about the guts, and give yourself that grace. Don't be hard on yourself, in the process. We all go through it, everybody, in different ways or another.
Yeah, definitely be patient with yourself and knowing that you may have to start over a couple times. That maybe you started over like a month or so ago and you have to start over all over again, then that's okay. So give yourself that grace and the way that you would with anybody else.
I love it. And what's our wrap up quote for tonight?
Think of starting over as an adventure as well, where you're not only wiser, but you can look forward to what's ahead in your future. I like to look at my life as an adventure, like, okay, what's next in my bucket list or my journey here, you know? So, but then also, what did I learn that didn't work in the past so that way I can actually make it work in the future?
I wish we had a camera following us in college because y'all seen the starting over. We had the adventures.
Y'all would know.
You would know. We speaking from experience on this episode. The worst was the grocery one. I gotta say that. We'll talk about it one day. We'll have an episode where we just talk about college experiences.
Oh my goodness. Y'all ain't ready.
Right? But we appreciate y'all tapping in live on our 77th episode live on the Good News Radio. Before we head out, quick shout out to our amazing sponsor. Shout out to My Bar, located at 720 East Manchester, Inglewood, California. Get your nails, your lashes, your hair done in Tooth Gyms. Extra Mind. Someone that Speak Up JV. Since your Instagram is at myy.bar.
And shout out to Be Actual Natural. All their products are handmade, plant-based, and free of fillers or preservatives. Treat yourself while you're taking care of yourself. Check them out on Instagram at Be Actual Natural or go to their website, www.beactualnatural.com.
Yes, make sure y'all tap in. We appreciate y'all for all every week tapping in with us live. Make sure y'all follow us on Instagram at SpeakerJV. We're on Twitter at SpeakerJV. Tweet us. My personal Instagram is at Vernisa. That's V's and Victor VERNISA. And y'all, we're about to start back with our pre-recorded episodes soon. So make sure y'all subscribe to our YouTube channel, Spotify, Apple, all that. And we got some good content coming for y'all, some bloopers. But yeah, we will be back next week live at 8:30. Please tell your friends to download the Good News Radio app. And we love y'all.
Love y'all.
Bye.